Did you wash the t-shirt since the last episode?
But is it the same one?
I don't know. It's
I think the other. I think the other one was white.
You're right.
I'm not 100% sure, but I'm quite sure that it's not
dark,
the same.
The black is not just like dirt.
Oh, no, it's definitely another one. But I actually can't remember if I
think it was the white one.
It was the white one.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's up?
Go ahead, Hans. Make the introduction.
Welcome back, guys and girls, to another episode of the Badminton Experience. Today, Anders Antonsen will be hosting and talking because I'm too tired to do anything. So it's all up to you now, Anders.
So you came straight from practice here.
I came straight from a match practice session.
How did it go?
I actually played pretty well.
Nice.
Especially considering my legs are killing me. I died on day one of our World Championship preparation camp. We started on Monday, and in the second session on Monday, I just died. And since then, it's been...
This is Wednesday. So.
This is Wednesday, so this is day 3. Mm-hmm. And it's basically all about surviving now.
Okay. Then for the next, how long? 4 weeks?
I would say this week and next week are going to be very tough.
Yeah.
So those two are about surviving. Tomorrow we have a terrible session at 8 o'clock in the morning. Are you gonna be there?
I'm going to join. I'm back. I'm back again.
A real tough one. So
yeah, not for me though. I guess I'm being saved a little bit here in the beginning of my comeback. So I guess it will be tough for me as well. What's on the schedule? High pace, no mistakes. Drills. 2 hours in a row.
I think we are doing these intervals that are like 60 seconds work, 30 seconds off, as high pace as possible, 2 against 1, and you have to do 14 in a row, and you have to do it twice. So yeah,
wow,
it's a lot. With the intensity we're doing it at, it's gonna be quite tough.
And it's a strong group of guys. This week especially, Victories is back training in Denmark.
Yeah.
Here leading up to the World Championships, and we also are joined by the national team from Singapore, which means that on the men's singles training we have Lo Can Yu, the world champion. He's joining. Yeah. And then
we're also supposed to be joined by Jason here Teng, I think his name is, but unfortunately he's been a little bit sick.
Okay.
So we actually saw him in the hall today doing just a little bit of work. So let's hope that he will be there for tomorrow, perhaps.
So why are they here? Can you just explain to the audience? Maybe they have seen something on Badminton Denmark's Instagram.
Yeah, they shared quite a bit from the training today. Well, they came here as their final preparations for the Commonwealth Games. The Commonwealth Games will be played next week in Birmingham in England. So I think they saw it as an advantage to go to Europe a little bit earlier to get used to the climate and the time difference as well. And I know they have a English guy in charge of all their stuff. So like the head of sports is an English guy that Kenneth Jonassen, who used to be in England, knows pretty well. So they were arranging it all, and I think Kenneth saw it as a good opportunity for us as well in our first week of the World Championship preparations to have some Asian sparring players. So I think it's a win-win for both them and us. They get accustomed to the climate here and the time difference. Conditions, and we get some good sparring. So.
They are playing in Birmingham, the Commonwealth Games, starting next week. A few days ago, it was 40 degrees in England.
Yeah,
I don't know about these days on how next week is going to be, but here is very warm. Here in Copenhagen today, it's like almost 30 degrees.
Yeah,
little less. It's crazy. What's going on?
There was actually a new record in Denmark today. They beat the old record of the highest temperature ever in Denmark.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Today?
36.5 was the old record, and I just saw it in the news actually that they broke it in the southern part of the country.
Okay.
So past 36.5.
Not here in Copenhagen though.
No, here it's only been around 30. But in the southern part of the country, it's been above 36.
But it's been quite windy today, so
yeah.
I was at the water, and it didn't feel that hot because it was quite windy, so that was all right. But no, okay. 3 days into the World Championships preparations camp, and you're already done.
Cooked.
But just remember, as I told you earlier today, this might be your last, summer training leading up to a big event like World Championships. Maybe you have one in you next year. We'll have to wait and see. But guys, the summer practice is usually, a very, very tough period of time. Usually leading up to either a World Championships or a Olympics. And Olympics. So obviously, it's also, it's rare that we have like 6 weeks in a row to train because there's always tournaments during the season. But we usually have a little bit of extra time to practice leading up to like World Championships or Olympics.
Yeah.
So usually this is the time to build. Build upon your physique and your game, and I guess everyone knows it. Also, the junior players knows about summer training. It's usually very physical. At least that was how my experience was as a junior player with summer camps and stuff. A lot of running and
it is the time of the year where you have the time to actually build up. I heard a quite interesting podcast the other day when I had 8 hours of transit in Dubai airport when I traveled home from Singapore, and I stumbled across a podcast with Kenneth Jonassen. Actually, it's about 1 or 2 years old, so it was before the Olympics. And he was talking about these periods of training, and it was pretty clear that he was really enjoying it. And he was talking about that, like, it's his chance also to kind of, and he used these words, break down the players to then build them up again. He said like the really top players like you and Victor. He mentioned that like from Monday to Wednesday in these weeks, it's not that hard for you guys. Like you can handle it because you're strong in your mind as well, also physically, of course. But he knows that when you get to Thursday or Friday, then he can start to kind of tear you apart brick by brick, and then he can start building you up again later. So it just describes pretty well like how intense it is, that we are breaking ourselves down for a couple of weeks, and then we will just tone it down a little bit and start to build up towards the championship. So it's a testing time for all of us, but I think also it's pretty clear over the years that it also comes with a big reward in the end. I've never done any of these and not felt that in the end that I've really moved to a new level in some area at least.
I'm not sure if you get the benefits right away. It's not just because you have 6 really good and tough weeks of training leading up to a World Championships. That doesn't mean that you are going to play your absolute best at a World Championships. There's many other aspects that goes into delivering a good performance, the mental part as well. But I feel like sometimes the reward comes a little bit after. In the months after these months of training, I think you really benefit from all the work that you have been putting in. So sometimes you don't get it right away, but you still benefit from it in the long run. I feel like the first few times I had to participate in a World Championships, the training wasn't necessarily in a way for me to peak at the World Championships, but it was to benefit from it in the longer run. So I think it also depends on where you are in your career. Are you one of those players who's aiming for a medal at the World Championships? Okay, then we need to make sure that the player is in peak condition. But is the player 20, 21 years old, maybe even younger, and still needs a lot of training to reach the top of the world in a few years? Then I think you focus a little bit more on training, and maybe training a little bit too hard than what's optimal for performance.
Because the actual goal is maybe a few years ahead in time. That does for sure make sense.
I experienced that a few times coming into a championships and actually feeling a little bit drained. Because the practice and the preparations was so hard on me, and I didn't really have time to get energy back again and stuff. So it's an interesting time. I don't know if I have told this story before, but I had a really good time last summer preparing for the Olympics. It was just me and Victor on the training who was going to the Olympics, and I remember it as being crazy tough summer, and I think both me and Victor were very tough, and we practiced really good, and I had this feeling like none of us wanted to show any weakness. None of us were showing up to practice and then complaining a little bit about I'm a little bit sore here, god damn it, I'm very tired today, or stiff in somewhere in the body, or none of us did that. There was
though for sure you were probably
I mean,
at times
obviously it's almost ridiculous to play that game and try to keep the poker face, because obviously both of us is absolutely drained at certain times during this camp. But I had this feeling like both of us, we didn't want to show any weakness. We didn't want to tell anything to the other one. We were just, playing it tough and working extremely hard. And then I think it was the last really tough multi-session. It was something like 1,100 shuttlecocks, which is a very tough program. It takes, I don't know, 70-75 minutes to complete or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I told this story before. Anyway, I was on one court, Victor was on the other court, and we could, look at each other. And at some point during this program, I was doing a front court exercise, and then the last shuttle, I wasn't even able to bend my legs anymore. So I just, tried to get it, then just, fell forward with my upper body. And when I looked up again, I just saw Victor on the other court, and he was also leaning over his legs, and then I just I saw his facial expression was just like, there was nothing left, and we just started to laugh because it was like, we can't hide it anymore. There's no point in playing tough. I don't know if he experienced it the same way, but I just felt like we had some mutual
understanding
right
how
there.
Crazy that was.
We had been through so much, playing tough for so long, and then in the end I could just see emptiness in his face, and he could obviously see it in mine as well. So that was crazy tough.
And I think you made a good point before as well about that the reward doesn't necessarily come straight after. And I think actually the Olympics you talk about last year is a good example as well, because I remember when we were sitting here after the Olympics, you were actually still pretty excited about the future after the Olympics, because you felt like you had done such a good training in the Olympic preparation. So you felt like maybe the reward would come after the Olympics. You didn't get the medal you came there for, but I think that is the way to look at it every time. Like I've done this, I think 8 times now. I think this is the 9th time I'm going to go to the World Championships, and I've experienced quite a few times losing in the first round. And you can feel like in the moment that it's all a waste of time when you've done 6 weeks of so hard training and you don't get any reward. You just lose first round. Even though I played well, I lost some close matches. You feel like it's a waste, but you just need to remember that hopefully you build like a higher base for yourself. So maybe in the next tournament or in the next 2 tournaments or something like that, you will at some point get a reward. So I think that's a great point, and it just underlines the fact that it's important to think again long term. Even though we are trying, obviously I'm trying to peak at the World Championships every time, and I want to win a medal for sure. But it's not the end of the world if I don't, because the training is still gonna be worth it for sure.
100%. So no, we are heading into like five serious weeks now. It's 5 tough weeks.
I don't know if we should just explain a little bit about like why it's so different from a normal training block. I think one of the big differences for us in this training period compared to like a more normal training period, if we have a couple of weeks at home, is that there's full focus on each player who's going to the World Championships. Like usually in our training here in Denmark, if I'm on a 2-against-1 court with Victor Svensson and Ditleo or Mads or some of the sparring players, we will all do the same exercises and we will do the same amount of minutes. So it will be 2 minutes for them, 2 minutes for me. when we do the World Championships and Olympics training camps, it's full focus on the players who are actually going. So Mads and Ditleo and Victor, Magnus Johannesson, 4 of the young guys we have, they will be 100% sparring players. So we won't have to do any kind of feeding or being sparring in any way. It's just every training session is just full focus on us. And that obviously makes it a lot more intense. There's also some advantages, like when your training is done, you can just stop, where usually you would have to maybe train for another 20 hours to also give something back.
20 hours?
20 hours, 20 minutes, 20 minutes, of course. So yeah, I think that is like one of the main differences, apart from what we talked about before, that we don't that often have 5 or 6 weeks together at home.
Yeah, so actually sometimes the training sessions get a little bit shorter for the prioritized players.
Yeah.
But a little bit more intense because you are on
all the time,
almost.
Yeah. I think one of the in one of the programs where it's the biggest advantage is when we do these multi-feeding sessions, because usually when we do those, if you're the first one to go, you have someone who's feeding you, and then after you're done and you've been on for 1 hour and you're completely dead, then you have to be feeding for another hour. And during these training camps, when you're done, you just take a shower and you go home and relax or do whatever you need to do. It's really, really something that you want to enjoy, because it's a big difference compared to when you have to go feed for another hour.
I mean, I have actually only... I mean, there's obviously a big difference from being a prioritized player during these periods or being like a sparring partner. I have only tried maybe once to be in the role of a sparring partner. I've always been going to the championships in the summer since I joined Brøndby. So I don't know. You've basically always also, I mean...
No. I've been aspiring in the sparring group quite a few times. My first World Championships was when I was 25, and I started in the national team when I was 19. So for the first 5 or 6 years, I was part of the sparring group every time. And it's obviously very, very different type of the year for that group as well, because you take out 5 or 6 weeks of your own training to be helping other guys only. But I think there's only one way to really get through it, and that is to try and look at it as an investment. Because obviously in the way the system works in Denmark is that if the guys that are playing the World Championships or the Olympics, if they win medals, the federation will get more funding. And then there will be more funding for the sparring players as well, and better opportunities for them. So I think that's the way you need to look at it, in terms of why it makes sense that you need to try and help them get the results. But I still think even as a sparring player, there is lots of benefits in the training as well. Obviously, we don't only do 2 against 1 exercises. There's also 1 against 1, and getting on court as a sparring player against you or Victor is pretty damn nice when you're a top 60 or 70 or 80 player in the world. So you need to just take full advantage of those opportunities, and it's again not very often you have 5 or 6 weeks in a row where you actually get that chance. It's not like it's an easy summer for the sparring partners, and also they are maybe being thrown around a little bit more, so they sometimes someone has to do some extra rounds, 1 against 1 against I mean the prioritized players, and then the sparring partner just gets, killed during those training sometimes. So it's definitely very, very good training as a sparring partner as well. For sure.
Also, they continue, usually if, let's say, me and Victor is done after 1.5 hours, then they will continue for 30 minutes more to get some extra training.
And it's also a golden opportunity for those guys to actually focus a bit more on the physical stuff outside of court, because maybe the training is a little bit less than what they used to on court, so you will have more energy to try and do a little bit extra off court. So I still think there's lots of opportunities in that role, but you still need to, especially mentally, adjust to it, because it is very different to your, like as a badminton player, your daily life is very centered about yourself, trying to get the most out of your own potential, trying to maximize your trainings and everything. And for 5 or 6 weeks, you need to put that in the background a little bit. So it is very different, but I still think it's a good time even for them.
Have you tried being very, very close to to qualify or being selected for a championship like the World Championships, and then not being picked, and then struggling a little bit to find the motivation to be in the sparring role during the summer?
I've been in that situation a few times, especially with the Olympics, both in London and Rio. It's mostly in London. I was not that far off being picked. The federation could pick me if they wanted to in both places, but it was fair enough they did not do it. But I was actually never really struggling with my motivation, because I saw it still as a good time of the year for me to build on my own level, and even though the Olympics is also for me the biggest dream, to win and play and so on, it's not the only thing that I want to perform well at. So every time I think I was pretty good at looking at it as an opportunity to build on my own game as well, and then hopefully I could get the reward, as you said, afterwards. And I think in quite a few cases as well, like the World Championships, there's been a few times where I've been like one spot off qualifying. We've still prioritized me actually, because we were hoping that someone would pull out and then I would get the spot, and it has actually happened, I think, every single time.
Was it what happened this year as well?
Yeah. I wasn't qualified at first, but I got a spot. I was the first reserve, so it would also be quite weird if I didn't get it. And actually, my first World Championships, I only got to play because Jan Jørgensen, he pulled his hamstring like 3 weeks before.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Well, that was a lot about summer training preparations for the World Championships. We have some stuff on the menu today, Hans Christian.
Yeah.
And since you have been working hard in the gym for once, and I have been, only training once today, I'm actually the one who has prepared a little bit. We have a bunch of good questions. Thank you very much for that, guys. Awesome. Every time we post these Instagram stories, we always get a lot of good questions, so that's awesome.
I appreciate it.
I think we need to touch on the Singapore Open very quickly. The first thing I will say, Anthony Ginting back with a win, first title in 2 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I read that somewhere as well. 2 or 2.5 years.
Broke his record when he won.
I love that celebration. Yeah, I love that celebration, Ginting. It was amazing. Obviously, we shouldn't encourage breaking your racket or anything, but I think you could just see in the way he reacted that he wanted that so badly, and he just could not keep it in anymore. It was
just
was
raw emotion. And you just love to see that in an athlete.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's happy. You don't doubt whether he's breaking his racket in joy or whether he's very frustrated and behaving in a bad way. He was just very, very happy. First title in a long time. And actually, I think he hasn't been on his best since obviously 2 years is a long time for a guy like Ginting, but since the bronze medal at the Olympics, I think he has not been at his best level. I think he played some very good matches in the weeks leading up to, where he lost to Victor, I think 3 tournaments in a row.
Yeah, something like that.
2 times in Indonesia and once in
Malaysia. I don't know.
Actually, I can't remember whether they faced each other in Malaysia, but I think they played some very good matches. Probably also one of the reasons why he ended up winning in Singapore. He got some very good matches against Victor, and I think that can do a lot to a player.
Yeah, for sure.
Confidence-wise as well.
Yeah.
So
I think it started turning around for him a little bit at the Thomas Cup as well, actually. I think that's where the first time we saw some signs that he was getting back. And then I agree with you that he built from there in Indonesia and Malaysia.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So we have a great podcast episode with Anthony.
Yeah,
the most viewed episode on the Badminton Experience. It's on my own Anders Hansson YouTube channel. It's not on this Badminton Experience channel.
Yeah, but you should go check it out. It's from was it December last year?
Yeah, we did it on Bali.
Yeah.
It was awesome. I think it's more than 700,000 views.
Yeah.
So it's crazy.
Yeah.
And Kodai.
Yeah.
21 years old, new kid on the block. From Japan, placed second, lost to Anthony in the final. We have a bunch of questions about him. Who is he?
Yeah, I have to admit that I definitely underestimated him before this event. I watched him play quite a few times. I think he made semi-final or final in Korea Masters, something like that.
Okay.
I saw him play against Gemke in Thailand Open, and I think he has a quite fun style, because at that time I thought he was quite defensive, actually, playing a lot of clears and drops and stuff like that. But when I saw him here in Singapore, I think he changed his game quite a bit. I think he was actually playing pretty fast and with a lot of smashes. Still not playing like very close to the lines and a lot of technical stuff, but he was playing extremely disciplined, and he just seemed like he was trusting his game all the way. He didn't panic at any point. I think a very good example of that is when he played Christie in... I don't remember. I think it was the second round.
Can I just mention his way to the final?
Yeah, you can.
Wang Hong Yang in the first round.
Yeah.
Is that the left-handed?
Yeah, the guy I played at Thomas Cup, who won Korea Masters.
Jonathan Christie in the second round.
3 games. 3 games.
He won in 3 games. Yeah. Pranoy in the quarterfinal.
3 games again.
3 games. Also a player who has been showing good progress lately. Xiao Jungping from China in the semi-final, also a very tough opponent, placed second at the Indonesian Open.
Indonesia Open, yeah.
And then lost to Anthony in the final, so
actually had a game point in that first game. He was 21-20 up against Ginting.
I can see.
Had a good chance, was actually close of winning the rally as well.
So he had a very impressive run.
Yeah, for sure. And against Christie, he was down 15-1 in the first game. And I think it was still actually pretty close in that first game. At least he came back. Someone came back in that game.
No, he didn't.
No, all right. But no. Anyway, the fact
21-7.
7. Okay, but down 15-1, and he was still playing the same kind of game. It wasn't like he changed anything drastic. Obviously, he probably played. He would say he played better, but he was just still playing the same game, trusting his. I think he's trusting his physique a lot, that he can run anything back, like get everything back and keep it in, and again play with a lot of discipline. And I thought every time I saw who he was playing the next day, I thought he was going to lose. So yeah, I really underestimated him for sure, and he's a guy we need to look out for in the future.
I have not watched him a lot. I saw him a little bit during the Thomas Cup.
Yeah,
I wasn't that I mean, impressed. I wasn't that impressed either at the time. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, and I did not watch any of his matches in Singapore, so I'll have to see what's going on there. But interesting if Japan has another guy on the rise. Obviously, he's on the rise. He's only 21 years old, and I think this is kind of like his breakthrough result.
Yeah.
I was thinking about Koki Watanabe because he's not that old either. I think he probably is around the same age, but I think when he was facing Victor in the All England, not just this year but the year before, right?
Yeah.
2021.
Yeah.
And he was actually very, very close to beating Victor.
Yeah, I think it was 19 in the third, right? Yeah.
Something like that. And at that time I thought that okay, here's the new guy on the rise from Japan, but it's not really been like that.
No, he hasn't had a good year, but he beat me in Singapore. That was the guy I lost to first round.
Okay.
Blew a match point, but yeah. Anyway, he's not really had that breakthrough. They're a little bit alike in terms of stature. They're both quite small and quite fast. But before Singapore, I would still say that Kogi was the one with the higher ceiling. But yeah, I guess when you make the final in Singapore and when you beat those guys, you must have a pretty high ceiling. Like Kodai.
Interesting.
Yeah, it really is. And he's really fast. I have to give him that.
Yeah, he is. He's very fast.
He's running around court a lot. I don't feel like his footwork is. It's the same like Momota, where you feel like he's just kind of floating around court. Like this guy, he's just basically running, but he's just so fast getting everything back.
I feel with Momota like he's very, very close to the ground all the time, moving very smoothly around. But this guy is a little bit more like jumping and running and
exactly.
Just light on his feet. But it's different, very different.
Yeah.
Sindhu.
Yeah,
won the Singapore Open. I can. Sorry.
Wow.
What do you say?
Bless you.
Bless
Thank you.
Bless you.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time she won a tournament, and maybe my memory is not that good here, but help me out here, Hans Christian. Is this the first one in a long time for Sindhu?
You guys should help us out.
Help us out here.
I can't really remember the last time she won one of the big ones, but yeah, she did, and good to have her back as well. And I also want to mention Saina Nehwal actually. I know she didn't win or anything. She held a couple of match points against Ohori. I think it was maybe in the quarterfinal or something like that. But at least we saw her getting back to a better level and starting to perform a little bit again. I think that was quite nice to see as well.
That's interesting as well. So that was quite quickly about the Singapore Open. You were there for one match and one shower, and then you left again.
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna let you go with that.
Okay, do you have?
There's one thing we need to mention from the Singapore Open.
Yeah,
in the men's doubles, it was an all Indonesian lineup in the semifinal, and I read from Jill Clark, the favorite commentator for everyone, I think, that it is the first time in the Super Series or Open era. Actually, I think it was from Badminton Statistics on Twitter. So it's the first time in the Super Series or World Tour era that there is one country who has all the semifinalists in men's doubles. So Indonesia has been close a few times with 3 men's doubles, but it was the first time they had 4 pairs.
I was about to say, it sounds like something they could have done in the past. They must have been very, very close. But, okay.
But that profile said it was the first time, and he's usually quite reliable, so I will trust him on that one.
How was Singapore, by the way? Was it good?
So good.
It's a nice country, right?
It is really, like in Asia, I think it's like probably my favorite country to just be in. And this time I did not stay in the official hotel. I stayed in a cheaper area. Like, it's crazy expensive there. And that was actually, like, the hotel wasn't great, so that wasn't the best experience. But the area was quite interesting to just walk around and experience all these small shops and small places to eat and stuff. It was a much more local experience compared to usually where it's more the big hotels and big shopping malls and stuff. So yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Last time we talked about that there was a lot of spectators during both the Indonesia tournaments and Malaysia tournaments. How was it? How was it in Singapore?
Yeah, it was also quite good. Quite good. I read it was supposed to be sold out in the weekends. I'm not sure if it was. I left before the weekend, but especially in the late afternoon and evening sessions, it was pretty packed. Actually.
Nice. It's very, very good. It feels like there is something, I mean, about the tournaments these days. Maybe it's because there has been none.
Yeah, especially in Asia
for a long time. So the fans are eager to get back out there. But it's awesome. I've only been in Singapore once. I think I lost in the first round to Chinglong or something. But I really had a good impression of the country. I'm really looking forward to
great place
to go back there. Is it right that the rules is really strict in Singapore? I mean, if you walk down on the street here, you would probably just cross over even though it's red. If the light is red and you see there's no cars and no people around. But you don't do that in Singapore. You stand and wait. Or
I've heard that quite a few times, and like the punishment is harsh if you drop any
you
garbage.
You don't spit gum on the street.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't. It's a very clean place. That's for sure. I think maybe that story has been like over exaggerated a little bit, but it is a very clean and nice country. So I think there is a lot of respect for authorities, at least.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was just about the Singapore Open. We just covered the relevant news from the badminton world. Right now, the Taiwan Open, or what is it called?
Chinese Taipei Open.
Super 300 tournament is ongoing, so we are not going to talk about that.
No.
I have something here. I don't know if you have seen this. I'm going to show you the video, the clip, and I think maybe I can send it to you, Oliver. Maybe we can put it up so the fans can see it as well.
Mm-hmm.
It is Yuta Watanabe. From Malaysia and from Indonesia. It happens twice.
Yeah, I already know what it is.
You know what it is?
Yeah,
I'm going to show you anyway.
In his mixed doubles against Alexander Brøndby and Mathias Christiansen, he's jumping from his forehand corner at the back line, then sideways to his round the head. It's so bad. And
he wins the rally.
he wins the rally. It's on match point, that one.
It's absolutely insane.
So like when he jumps sideways, his left leg. No, is he left? His right leg, of course. Yeah. Oh yeah, it looks terrible. His right leg catches the mat that is outside of the court mat.
We'll put it up so they can see.
Yeah, it just splits apart. It's so terrible.
I just wanted to mention that. Yeah. How crazy is it that the courts are not wider than this? That's absolutely ridiculous. I mean,
it is.
I'm 100% certain that if I did that movement, I would break everything in my knee.
It's impressive that nothing happens.
I mean, Yuta is I mean, his body is absolutely insane. I mean, I've seen him
made of like rubber bands.
It really is. I mean, I have seen him do stretches and different poses and stuff, and he is so flexible and agile. It's absolutely insane. Yeah. I mean, everyone else would have totally, destroyed their knee or something. Yeah. And I think it's absolutely insane that the courts are not wider than that.
Yeah, I can only say I agree. When I was part of the athletes commission back in the days, this was actually an issue we raised quite a few times because I remember Andy Ellis from England, who used to play men's doubles with Chris Adcock from England. He raised it as an issue, and after that we started really taking notice. And it does happen every now and then. It rarely looks as bad as it did with the Yuta, but you see it every now and then that the doubles players especially they will get outside of the court and it will just tear apart. I think like one of the biggest issue is that all court mats in the world are the same size. So if you need to make a new size, you would.
That's not true.
All right.
Because I have a picture here from the Singapore Open.
Okay.
And
I think in general
look at those. They're much.
All right. I actually thought it was like a standard size, all of them.
I don't know. I mean, I think it's
maybe
it's more common that they are
I can
like
see
that.
Oh yeah.
No, these are the.
Yeah, that one is very very
these
small.
These are the small ones.
So that's a Yonex mat, and that one is a Li Ning.
Yeah, this is a Yonex mat, and this is a Li Ning mat. But that needs to be changed. I mean.
It definitely does. It's only a matter of time.
He should have a great lawsuit on his hands.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time before someone gets badly injured.
I mean, that's insane.
Yeah, it is.
It's really, really insane that nothing happened to
But
Yuta.
It's even more insane that he actually wins the point.
That is quite insane. But this was I think this was the second time he did it.
Yeah, it was.
So he learned from his mistakes in the first week. Fell and wasn't ready, but this time he was prepared.
He fell and was ready.
I might going to fall now, so just be ready for the next one. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get that in there. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
That needs to be fixed. That's absolutely insane.
I agree.
Okay, Hans Christian. The next thing that I have here on the list today with topics. I don't know if you have seen this because you come straight from practice. We have a lot of questions about Shi Yuqi.
I was just thinking about it actually.
He and I don't know anything about it. The questions is asking how come he has been able to re-enter to the World Championships, even though he. Said no to his spot early on previously. And he's taking the spot from Qinglong.
Yeah. So, I was just made aware of it before match practice today, and I tried to look into it as much as I could. I've also raised it with the Athletes Commission, and if we need to describe it for the fans, the point is that when there's this World Championship qualifying list, we have different phases. In the first phase, each country has to accept all the invitations or decline them. And the rule says that if you decline an invitation in phase 1, the player you decline that invitation from cannot be eligible again. So it's very clear. It simply says if you decline in phase 1, you cannot be eligible again. And they declined the invitation for Shi Yuqi because obviously he was still banned from the Chinese Federation after what he did at the Thomas Cup last year. So it should be pretty clear that there was no chance he could play the World Championships. They said yes to Chen Long and Lu Guangzhou and Zhao Yunpeng, I think. But now, all of a sudden, they send out a press release, China, that Shi Yuqi, he's back in the national team. He learned from his mistakes. He's not banned anymore. And Chen Long is not playing the World Championships. So Shi Yuqi got his place, and I thought, yeah, that's a bit weird, like how they can do that. But I went to look on BWF website, and in this phase 2, where you can then enter new players. There's a lot of players that will have been declined, and then in phase 2 you fill up the draw with new players, right? Mm-hmm. So in this phase 2, it now says that they declined Chen Long's spot and Shi Yuqi is in, and it shouldn't be possible. Like again, the rules are very clear. You cannot be eligible if you already declined in phase 1. So yeah, I sent a message to the Athletes Commission to ask what's going on. Like I don't mind Shi Yuqi playing the World Championship. I think it's great. He's not banned anymore. But obviously the rules should be the same for China as for Denmark and for every other country. So it just does not make sense. And I asked them if there's any good explanation to it. They haven't heard it, but they would try to look into it. And I also mentioned it to Kenneth Jonassen, our coach, and said that I think the federation should also try and look into it. Yeah.
Sounds weird.
It is very weird.
I know weird. Nothing about those rules, but... yeah, first of all, obviously great that he is able to participate in tournaments again.
That's good news.
But this sounds quite weird.
Yeah. It's very good news he's back, and it's also sad news that Chen Long is not playing the World Championships.
So that was I was about to ask, has he retired now, or I mean he's not made any official announcement or anything, but
yeah, I'm afraid
he's not been playing since the Olympics, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I heard that he wanted to retire at the Asian Games, which was obviously being held, was supposed to be held in China this year, but those has been postponed to next year. He has a protected ranking, but you can only have that for 1 year, and when you start playing again, you only have 6 months with the protected ranking. So unless he really starts going crazy with tournaments in the autumn, he will have trouble getting enough points before January also to enter tournaments next year. So yeah, I'm getting increasingly afraid that his career might be over. I hope not, because as we talked about before, he's one of the most underrated players in the badminton scene. I think he deserves a different farewell.
He's one of the greatest of all time, that's for sure. Yeah. It would be great to get some kind of announcement from him, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
And also about the Shi Yuqi situation, we don't know much about it, but it sounds a little bit weird. So yeah. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. I can't really draw any conclusions yet.
No.
So yeah.
I think, Hans Christian, since we have so many great questions, we have already answered a few of them. I think we should answer a few of them. And I have them right here. I actually made a screenshot, but I'll just find them here on Instagram as well.
Good.
So then I can say who's
asking them.
Who's asking them.
Yeah,
First.
All right.
It's kind of a broader question. It's from our training partner, fellow Dane, Mads Christoffersen.
He always asks a question.
He always has one question. It's
he's spending too much time on Instagram, Mads.
Yeah, he's Mr. Do's and Don'ts. Go and check him out. But he says, how can we promote our sport, badminton, better, make it more popular? Go ahead, Hans Christian.
Yeah, I think there's lots of stuff. I think we've been talking about it a few times before as well. I think one of the things for sure is that we need much better coverage of the events. Right now we only have one TV court. You can only watch 10 matches a day, in some tournaments even only 8 matches a day. You can have an Olympic champion or world champion who's on court, and it's not even possible to watch them play. I think that is absolutely crazy.
So mention one thing. It's the coverage of the events.
Yeah, so I would have more TV courts, so more courts that are actually covered by TV, and it doesn't have to be like mainstream TV channels, but just being able to stream them online in good quality. Of course, it should not be just like a stationary camera where you can see from one angle.
Just a basic streaming. It shouldn't be like that.
No, it shouldn't be like that. It should still be good production. Maybe it doesn't have to be TV quality all the time, but you need to have a few different angles. I think that is one really big issue. But I have to say that I've heard some rumors that next year, when the new cycle starts, like the World Tour cycle goes in 4-year cycles, they are gonna have 2 TV courts in, I think, Super 1000s and maybe also 750. So at least that's a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
But I think that's a big issue.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. That's noted. Better coverage of the tournaments, more TV courts, higher production.
Yeah.
Should I mention one?
Yeah, go ahead. I have more, but you can go ahead.
There's a lot. I have plenty, and we have touched on many of them in the earlier episodes as well. But if I should mention one, I would say better promotion / better content.
Yeah.
From and I think from the BWF, since they are the organizers, the federation who is bringing badminton on the highest level out to the world. I think that badminton is really lacking storytelling. So there's so much good content from so many sports, and I often mention sports like boxing and MMA, where they obviously relying on selling pay-per-views. So it really makes sense for them to put a lot of effort into like branding their events, branding their
hyping them
athletes, hyping them up, trying to sell a show. So I think there was this Badminton Unlimited. They did that. I don't know if they're still doing it.
I think they still do it.
Okay.
Yeah. But
I think it can be done better. But that's one thing that I really miss from the badminton. And actually, one of the reasons why I started doing all this content back in the days with my YouTube channel and stuff, I said, there's no one doing it. I'm really a big fan of these other sports. Why is this not in badminton? So that was one of my reasons why
I completely agree. There is a big lack of content. I think that that Badminton Unlimited is a fine show, but as you say, of course it can be done better. But I think the biggest issue is that it's not often enough. Like it's the only great good content that is coming out. There needs to be a lot more. I know also from some of the TV commentators and TV channels that own the rights that they are also not impressed by what they are given by the tournament host or BWF. Like they don't get any help in terms of statistics or on the players or even on the matches in graphics or anything. Like there's nothing to help them make a good presentation of the sport. And you can say that they need to research everything themselves, but it shouldn't have to be like that. I know from tennis, for example, I know we compare ourselves to tennis quite often, but they get pages and pages of results and statistics and fun facts and stuff like that about the athletes. And it's just to help, again, the commentators, the TV presenters, the hosts, to present the sport in a better way. Like one good example of that is like we were talking about Victor's winning streak of, is it 31 matches or is it 32 or is it not even a streak because he lost some matches on walkover. But like there's no official record for the winning streak. Did he Thailand dance streak? Well, it's up to us to decide because there's no one keeping an official stat like that. I think it's crazy we don't have that. Like, why don't we have records and stuff that can be broken and talked about and discussed? That's what's fun for fans and nerds and everyone to discuss. But
there's so many statistics in other sports that's almost like kind of ridiculous. He's the first guy to score in the 60 minute of this match against this. There's so many weird statistics, but it is fun. Who's holding the record for this and this and this?
We're relying on stats from Wikipedia that we can look up ourselves. It's crazy.
I agree. You had the site on Facebook called Statsman at some point.
I did.
You should bring that back to life.
I should. If I had more time, I would. I actually enjoyed it. I love statistics, obviously. And when I did that, it was also because I felt there was nothing done like that. But I just don't have the time, or actually I don't have the skill either to set it up nicely and stuff like that.
It's also difficult now because there's so much from back in the days that you'll have to catch up with. and do a lot of reading and researching.
Every time I see stats from this guy, Badminton Statistics on Twitter, we need to take into account that he has not been able to retrieve all data from back in the day. So it's more like it's results and records from like the open era or the newer era, if we can call it that.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, Hans Christian.
Yeah. That was a good question, Mads.
It was a good question. Then about the Shi Yuqi, we have already touched on that. Would HK start an academy?
I would start the Badminton Experience Academy. Hopefully at some point. It won't be my first priority, but I would not rule it out. I think it would be very nice to have an academy.
Interesting.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of academies here in Denmark. It's very much based on our club structure instead.
There's clubs, yeah.
But yeah, obviously Peter Gator has an academy, and there are a few academies around, but yeah.
It's not a lot. I don't know if it's more common in other countries and in the Asian countries.
I think it is,
okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Because we rely more on clubs in Denmark, and they have more like academies.
Yeah.
Or okay.
Yeah. I think so, but yeah, I'm not too much into that. I don't really have any plans of moving to Asia.
No.
Yeah.
Not in the near future, but
no.
you never know.
You never know. Not ruling out anything.
Maybe we'll open up a Badminton Experience Academy in Jakarta.
Yeah.
Kuala Lumpur, Singapore.
Yeah. Why not?
I don't know.
Why
Bangkok.
Why
we'll
not?
have to wait and see, guys.
Yeah.
Maybe. Then I'll also have a place to practice when I'm out on the road. Then I can stop over at the Badminton Experience Academy, and you're there ready to feed me.
Great idea.
Okay. The last question is: do you think about every stroke you do in a rally?
For sure not.
Sure not?
Yeah. I will. It's a little difficult to answer, I think, because obviously, like, you have to think like about what you do, but some things are also just I wouldn't like some things you do pretty automatically. Like I don't think you can think about like every movement, like technique and how you do it. Obviously, I think I think about in terms of tactics what kind of shot I choose, but it's more like the technique and stuff. I don't think about that. I just hit it the way it comes natural.
Definitely. So that's why you practice over and over and over again, so that you don't have to really think about how you are going to perform a different a certain stroke. But I think obviously about the tactical stuff, you have to be very, very aware. But I think when you play at your absolute best, it just comes very like naturally for you, and you are just making the right decisions, but you are making them like in a split second, and you are just,
you don't feel like you're thinking. You just do it.
It also depends on who you are playing against, or what can you get away with. Some players you'll have to be very, very strict on a certain game plan, otherwise they will just punish you right away. A good example is a too short lift or a bad lift to a guy like Victor. The rally is done. So you'll always have to be very, very focused when you play your shots from the front court. For instance, but I think the interesting thing is that when you're really playing at your best, you're just doing it, and everything just feels right, or you're able to make decisions in a split second. Often I feel like when you think too much, and you are really considering every stroke, and then it's getting like a little bit tense, and that's
I think that's also because then you would start maybe second guessing a little bit, like you would start thinking, maybe that's not the right decision, and then try to adjust like too late. I think moments where I don't really think too much is if I play someone who's playing at a much higher pace than me. Like often he will get a lot of what we call habit strokes out of me. So like strokes I just do out of habit because I feel more comfortable doing that. Like a good example is if I play a guy like Kian from Singapore. When I played him in Singapore, he's playing much faster than me. Ginting as well when I played him in Indonesia. And one of my worst habits is that if I cannot follow the pace and I'm played to my deep forehand corner, if I don't think, I will just play straight to the front of the court and way too soft, and then they can just punish me because, it's an easy stroke for the opponent. So if I don't think in that situation, because I'm already struggling enough just keeping up with the pace, then I get into these bad habits. And I think that's what happens to a lot of players who are not the very, very best in the world. But I think even the best in the world, even Victor, he has habits as well that he will fall back on if he's not in the right flow.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I was thinking about something and then I lost it, so damn it.
Yeah. Maybe we can do that in the next episode.
It's because it's freaking warm in here.
It is really warm. It's really warm.
It's as you mentioned, the warmest day in Denmark ever. So I think we have an excuse. But I remember last summer when we did these episodes during the summer, it was in my old apartment, much smaller.
Yeah.
Very warm as well.
Yeah.
But I think it was a good episode.
Me too.
We got across quite a lot.
I kind of enjoyed this where you were actually really well prepared.
Yeah.
I wasn't prepared at all. I was just freestyling. But I think you really you stepped up your game.
Thank you very much. Yeah. I'm getting a little bit jealous because of the comment section is really favoring you mostly. I
love you guys.
They are so happy with your knowledge, and it's just like basic knowledge. Yeah. But I just let you answer it, and then you look like very, very smart.
Yeah.
People are saying that you should be the next BWF commentator. Your knowledge about badminton is crazy. I was thinking about, is that really true? So I'm going to set up a Q&A for you with some tough questions and
all right, like a quiz.
Expose you.
All right. I'm looking forward to that. But guys, keep those comments coming because I love them. Like it grows my ego a lot.
I'd rather have them than not have them.
Yeah, for sure.
It's awesome, guys. Thank you very much for the support. Thank you very much for watching or listening, whatever you are doing. Hope you enjoyed this episode of the Badminton Experience. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. We hit 15,000 subscribers on the Badminton Experience. I don't know if you saw that.
I did actually see it.
Thank you very much for watching, guys. Like the video, leave a comment.
Yeah.
Give Hans Christian some more positive feedback.
And tell Anders to get his shit together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye. See you in the next episode.